In 1948, during the early years of the Cold War, an entire city found itself cut off from the outside world. West Berlin, surrounded by Soviet-controlled territory, suddenly lost access to all land routes. Roads, railways, and canals were blocked, leaving millions of people trapped without essential supplies. Food, fuel, and medicine quickly began to run out. The situation became desperate as tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies increased. This was not just a local crisis. It was a test of power, strategy, and determination. The question was simple but critical. How could an entire city survive without access to basic resources? What followed was one of the most remarkable operations in history, where survival depended on the sky. The Soviet Union's decision to block access to West Berlin was a major turning point in the Cold War. By cutting off all land routes, they aimed to force the Western Allies out of the city. Without supplies, it was believed that West Berlin would not be able to survive for long. This move created a serious crisis, as millions of people depended on daily deliveries of food and fuel. The blockade increased tensions between the Soviet Union and the United States, bringing them closer to direct conflict. It was a strategic move designed to gain control without direct military action. The world watched closely as the situation developed, unsure of what would happen next. Faced with the challenge of supplying an entire city without land access, the Western Allies came up with a bold and risky plan. Instead of giving up, they decided to deliver supplies by air. This operation would involve flying thousands of tons of food, fuel, and essential goods into West Berlin every day. It was an enormous logistical challenge, requiring precise coordination and constant effort. Planes would have to land and take off in a continuous cycle, often in difficult weather conditions. The idea seemed almost impossible, but it was the only option. This plan became known as the Berlin Airlift. What started as a desperate response soon turned into one of the most remarkable operations of the Cold War. As the Berlin Airlift began, Allied forces quickly organized one of the most complex supply operations in history. Cargo planes started flying into West Berlin, carrying essential goods such as food, coal, and medicine. The operation required perfect timing and coordination, as planes had to land, unload, and take off within minutes to keep the system running smoothly. Flights were scheduled almost every few minutes, creating a continuous flow of supplies into the city. Pilots faced difficult conditions, including bad weather and limited visibility, but the mission continued without pause. The airlift became a lifeline for the people of West Berlin, proving that the city would not be abandoned. It was a powerful demonstration of determination and resilience during a time of crisis. For the people of West Berlin, the airlift became a symbol of hope and survival. Supplies delivered by air helped keep the city functioning despite the blockade. Families depended on these deliveries for food and warmth, especially during the harsh winter months. The constant sound of aircraft overhead became a part of daily life. Children watched planes fly above, knowing they were bringing essential supplies. The airlift not only provided physical support, but also boosted morale among the population. It showed that the Western Allies were committed to supporting the city. Despite the difficult conditions, the people of West Berlin adapted and continued to endure the crisis. The success of the Berlin Airlift depended on maintaining a constant flow of supplies. Any delay or disruption could have serious consequences for the city. Pilots and ground crews worked around the clock to keep the operation running. Planes flew day and night, often landing in quick succession. The scale of the operation was enormous, with thousands of flights taking place over many months. Every part of the system had to function perfectly to meet the needs of the population. The airlift became a race against time, where efficiency and coordination were critical. Despite the challenges, the operation continued to grow stronger, proving that the impossible could be achieved with determination and teamwork. As the Berlin Airlift continued, it became clear that the strategy was working. Despite the blockade, West Berlin remained supplied and operational. The steady flow of goods by air proved that the Soviet Union could not force the Western Allies out of the city. Over time, the success of the airlift weakened the impact of the blockade. It showed the world that determination and coordination could overcome even the most difficult challenges. The operation became a symbol of resistance and commitment during the Cold War. It also demonstrated the importance of innovation in times of crisis. What once seemed impossible had now become a reality. In 1949, after nearly a year of the Berlin Airlift, the Soviet Union decided to lift the blockade. The attempt to force the Western Allies out of Berlin had failed. The success of the airlift proved that the city could survive without land access. This marked a major moment in the Cold War, showing the limits of pressure without direct conflict. The end of the blockade was a victory for the people of West Berlin and the Allied forces. It demonstrated that unity and persistence could overcome even the most difficult situations. Today, the Berlin Airlift is remembered as one of the most remarkable humanitarian and logistical operations in history. It showed that a city could be sustained entirely through air supply, something that had never been done before on such a scale. The airlift also became a symbol of support, cooperation, and determination during the Cold War. It strengthened the relationship between the Western Allies and the people of Berlin. More importantly, it demonstrated that conflict could be managed without direct warfare. The lessons from the Berlin Airlift continue to influence modern operations and strategies. It remains a powerful example of how innovation and teamwork can overcome even the most difficult challenges.